Hebrew and do a quick version of the English right afterward. Mizmor David, Adonai, mi yagur bo'alecho, mi yeshkon behar kodshecha, holich tamim ufol tzedek, bedover emes bilvavo, lo rogal al lashoinoi, lo asal rei ura, becherpa lo nasa al krovo, nivza be'enav nimos, vesira Adonai yechabed, nishba loharav lo yamir, kaspa lo nosan beneshech, shocher al naki lo lokach, ose ele lo yimot leolam. A Psalm of David, Hashem, who shall live in your tabernacle, who shall dwell upon your holy mountain? He that walks upright, works righteousness, and speaks truth in his heart, that has no slander upon his tongue, nor does evil to his fellow, nor takes up a reproach against his neighbor, in whose eyes a vile person is despised, but he honors them that fear Hashem. He that swears to his own hurt, and changes not. He does not lend his money on interest, nor does he take a bribe against the innocent. He that does these things shall never be moved. 23, Mizmor leDavid Adonai roi lo echsor, binos deshi arbitzeni al meimenucho sinahaleni, nafshi yeshovev yancheni v'maglei tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki elech begetz al-maves lo yiraro ki ato yimadi, shivtecho mishantecho heimei nachamuni, taruch lefanai shochan neged zoroi, tishantev Hashem roshi kosi rivaya, ach tov v'chesed yirufuni kol yimei chayai, v'shavti b'veis Adonai lo rachamim. Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He allows me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And 130, Shir Amalos, Me'amakim Krasicha Adonai, Adonai Shema V'koli, Ti'eno Oznacha Kashvos L'kol Tachnunoi, Im Avonos Tishmoya, Adonai Mi'amod, Ki Im Echo Aslicha L'man Tivarei, Ki Visi Adonai Kivsan Hashiv V'lidvaro Ocholti, Nafshi L'Adonai Mishomin L'boker, Shomin L'boker, Yachel Yisrael Adonai Ki Im Adonai Chesed V'arbei Mofedus, V'hu Yiftas Yisrael Mikol Avonosov, a song of ascents. Out of the depths have I called out to you, O Lord. Lord, listen to my voice, let your ears be attentive to the voice of my tefillos. If you, Lord, should keep a tab on all of my iniquities, O Lord, who could stand? For with you there is forgiveness, so that you should be feared. I wait for my Lord. My soul does wait, and in his word I do hope. My soul waits for the Lord more than watchmen for the morning, yea, more than watchmen for the morning. O Yisrael, hope in the Lord, for with the Lord there is mercy. With him is plenteous redemption, and he will redeem Israel from all of its iniquities. We're here to mourn the loss and celebrate the life of my great-uncle, Lawrence Zimmerman. Uncle Laurie is survived by his wife and soulmate of 68 and a half years, something we should all strive to. My Auntie Fern, as well as his tremendous loving family, 3 children and their spouses, 10 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. There's Howie and Linda Zimmerman, and their children Michael, his wife Jordan, their son Harrison, Jenny and her husband Josh Barr, and Stephanie O'Neill and her daughter Olivia. Martin and Gail Zimmerman and their children Aaron, Aviva, and Yosef, and Susan and David Diamond and their children Craig and Shani Diamond, their children Jake, Rosie, and Max, Howie Diamond, Rachel Diamond, and Michael Diamond. We'll be hearing today from Susie, and then from Marty, and then from Marty's son Aaron.
I want to talk about my dad's wonderful life, but first I'll talk about his death. These past couple of weeks, and now that he's gone, many people have said to me, this must be really hard for you, or I know you're really sad. But it's not hard, and I'm not sad. Because the truth is, in his last days, he was an inspiration. An inspiration just like every other moment that we've been together from my earliest memories. It was a rough year, no doubt. My dad was failing and he knew it, but recently he accepted it bravely and with good humor. So here I was last week, in this place where we spent his final days together. It's a place where people speak very softly, and they're very kind, and they're very compassionate. And I felt calm. And my rabbi called me, and she said, "Sue, how are you doing?" And I said, "I'm fine." because I told her that being the daughter of Lori Zimmerman was like being raised by the Hare Krishnas. Love bombing, constant love bombing. Every day of my life and every time I would see my dad, he would tell me how much he loved me, how special I am, how smart I am, how beautiful, how everything I cooked was the best he ever ate, how every outfit I put on looked great on me. There was nothing I could do that was wrong. So I tried even harder to do right. You see, I have the incredible good fortune for having been born a Zimmerman. Because Zimmerman men, they make good friends, great husbands, and spectacular dads. They tell you how much they love you. They show you how much you are loved. Love and affection, and that describes my dad. And there's another side to my dad also. He screamed and argued while playing Cayudo. Only his friend Benji could do it better. And some might say he was a tad impatient. He'd curse the traffic, and when he wanted something, he wanted it now. Even when he ate, he couldn't wait to finish the bite that was in his mouth before the next one would be on his fork and back in his mouth again. He enjoyed a meal, usually in under 2 minutes. Oh, and if he wasn't feeling well and the directions on the bottle of Tylenol said take 2, he'd take 4, because more is better. He was relentless in a restaurant when finding the right place to sit. Not too close to the kitchen, not near a busing station, and he wouldn't face a wall. In a hotel, never next to an elevator. But once he was situated, every waitress was Dolly, every waiter was Pal. The room was super. He was the best-natured, fussy person you'd ever meet. And his attitude, well, optimist is an understatement. When it came to attitude, you couldn't find anybody more positive. He still has a closet full of golf shirts and shorts, some from the 80s, and only recently he told me he wanted to play golf again, but only 9 holes. I told you I was well loved by my dad, and that's true. But there's one person he loved above all other. My mother. Their love for each other shaped my life. I saw how a good man treats the woman he loves. And I wouldn't stand for anything less. So it took a few tries. But I did meet and marry a man whose values are just like my dad's. We're married 25 fabulous years. And I give my dad credit for my happy marriage. David was a very quick study. My dad, a very good teacher. And the gold standard in the husband department. Life lessons I learned from my dad. Don't hold grudges. Never call your mother she when you're angry. Her name is Mother. Don't go shopping, go buying. Make a decision and make it right, because that's how he lived. No regrets, not even one letter. If I wasn't speaking and I was writing this eulogy, I would go on and on with magnificent sentiments and very flowery language, and you'd be very touched. But we don't talk like that in real life. And though this funeral thing feels very surreal, it's very real, and I'm back here in Skokie, surrounded by friends and family. And right now, I'm talking to my dad's friends and family, and I'm saying this very simply. You are the most important person, and my dad loved you. He made you feel that way, didn't he? You are special, you are amusing, you are admired, you are loved by him. And you'll miss him. But don't wallow in the loss. Embrace his generous spirit. Say super and think of him. Call someone pal and let a smile cross your lips. Let him be the inspiration to you that he is for me.
I will repeat some of the same sentiments my sister just gave over, and a few others. According to our Jewish tradition, every Jew is uniquely precious in the eyes of God. We all come into this life with different talents, circumstances, and opportunities. This is because we all have a different mission in life. So, from the point of view of the person who has just finished his life's mission, like my dad, death is neither negative or a punishment, it's simply a transition. We must recognize that the culmination of a life on earth is not the end. Rather, it represents a new beginning, one that builds upon all the good thoughts, deeds, and actions done throughout one's life. Our sages describe death as a night between 2 days, a passage of one stage of life to another, from my physical existence here in this world to a fully spiritual life in the world to come, which means my dad's soul now is finally free from all suffering and discomfort he endured the last few years of his life. His soul now can finally begin to peacefully rest in the world of God's infinite light and blessings that he himself created and formed by the many good deeds and actions he has done throughout his life. So in truth, it's not my dad who needs consoling anymore. He does continue to need our spiritual support through prayers and through Kaddish, through saying Kaddish, and through acts of loving kindness, and especially through Torah study. But how do we who love him, who has depended on him, who were nurtured by him, deal with his painful loss and this numbing void that is constantly present in our hearts? How do we deal with never again being able to hear his voice, never again able to experience his hugs and kisses? It's not easy, but we must realize that sometimes an act of God's love can be very painful and very hard to comprehend. With this realization, perhaps we can better cope with life's most difficult moments. My father, as Susie mentioned, was a wonderful and caring individual who led a simple and balanced lifestyle. From an outside perspective, his life did not appear particularly remarkable or full of extraordinary accomplishments. But from an inside perspective, from the perspective of his family, his friends, and the hundreds of people he employed in his business, he was a giant, a remarkable role model of kindness, generosity, and wisdom. At home, my father and mother had a remarkable life together. They showed us on a daily basis the secret of having a long, loving, and happy marriage. They were a living example of two people with a kindred spirit, Their love and concern for each other throughout their life was truly infectious. My sister recently mentioned to me that she observed the two of them just sitting next to each other, as happy as can be, watching one of their regular TV shows, Wheel of Fortune, holding and periodically kissing each other's hands, just enjoying the moment of being together. That's the kind of affection they continued to show each other throughout their marriage of over 68 years. I think I can speak for both my brother Howie and my sister Sue that we were incredibly blessed to experience such a home life and incredibly fortunate to receive the life lessons coming from our home that ultimately shaped for the better, the type of people we are today. My parents' influence was not only felt by us, but was even more profoundly felt by their 10 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. Their Nani and Papi were always the go-to people to have fun, relax, and just hang out. Whenever they visited my parents in Florida, which was very often, their home instantly became the grandkids' and great-grandkids' own personal resort and playground. And they loved every second being with my Nani and Papi, with their Nani and Papi. Now, from the perspective of my dad's friends, I can definitely tell you his life was nothing but remarkable. Both my mom and dad had literally dozens and dozens and dozens of close friends, and they were all like family to them. These friendships began very early in their childhood in grammar school on the west side of Chicago. The friendships continued to grow and strengthen in high school, adulthood, and old age. After marriage, their friends all lived in close proximity to each other. They continued to celebrate life together, simchas of all kinds, bar mitzvahs, weddings, birthdays. They took vacations together. Even our parents' honeymoon was not off limits. Yes, my parents and their 2 close friends, Lois and Jeannie Siegel, had a joint honeymoon together in Florida. And if there were no simchas or special occasions to celebrate, they would just celebrate for no apparent reason at all. They simply just loved to celebrate with each other. As long as I can remember, my parents' friends were always there during happy moments in life, and they were always present to comfort each other during sad and tragic moments in life. Happy or sad, they showed a remarkable sense of loyalty, respect, and love for one another. And from my perspective, growing up in such an environment, it was a unique and rare gift for all who were privileged to experience and to be a part of my parents' circle of friends. My father's 3 passions in life besides family and friends was his business, his love of golfing, and his love of bass fishing. He started A to Z Electric in 1967. Both my brother and I began working in the family business in the early to mid-70s. We worked with our dad for over 25 years. He taught us every aspect of the business, from sales, finance, product knowledge, and most importantly, the value of respect and fairness towards our employees and customers. He taught life lessons that proved to be invaluable not only within the business, but also outside the business. When it came to the business, my dad had a type A personality for sure. He was intensely involved in every aspect of the business, always looking for new ways to grow it and to make it more profitable. As his guidance and skills that he imparted to us and countless others he employed has been a source of not only a comfortable livelihood for many, but also a positive and healthy outlook on life. I can honestly say that he was my first and most important teacher in life. His influence on my life was immeasurable and lasting. He first and foremost taught me how to be a mensch, and although I'm still working on that lesson, I'm forever thankful for his guidance and patience. Last, I would like especially to publicly thank my sister for the endless hours she spent with my dad and mom as nurse, caregiver, and most importantly, advocate for my father's health and well-being. Our family could have never gotten through this ordeal without her care and love. I would also like to thank my brother Howie for coming in from Scottsdale to be Mom's constant companion for the most difficult week prior to my dad's passing. He made sure my mom was properly fed, that she slept well at night, and personally chauffeured my mom back and forth from the hospice facility. So thank you both, Howie and Susie. I also would like to thank the God above for arranging a true modern-day miracle for my dad right before his passing. Yes, the Cubs' amazing World Series victory. You see, my dad was an avid, lifelong, die-hard Cub fan. The countless hours he spent watching the Cubs play throughout the summer brought hours and hours of joy and happiness to his life at a time when it was most needed and appreciated. So, thank you, Cubs. Last, Dad, we will miss you terribly, and I know you will always be with us in our hearts. I want to thank you most of all for everything you have done for our family, for your guidance, and for your love. Thank you.
I hope to talk on behalf of all the grandchildren and great-grandchildren. But before I do, we read the 15th Psalm, Psalm 15, and I was planning on saying it anyways. I didn't realize it was going to be said. So I just want to read it real quickly. A Psalm of David, Hashem, who shall sojourn in your tabernacle, who shall dwell upon your holy mountain. He that walks upright, works righteousness, and speaks truth to his heart, that has no slander upon his tongue, nor does evil to his fellow, nor takes up a reproach against his neighbor, in whose eyes a vile person is despised, but he who honors them that fears Hashem. He that swears to his own hurt and changes not. He does not lend his money on interest, nor does he take a bribe against the innocent. He that does these things shall never be moved. This psalm really speaks to me and reflects my grandfather's life. And in other words, he was a really good guy. And he was also an amazing grandfather. Yesterday I was looking at pictures of Poppy and me, and Poppy with all his grandchildren, and it made me realize that my relationship was special, but it was not unique. Poppy treated all of his grandchildren and great-grandchildren equally and shared with them the same special moments. My youngest memory is watching National Geographic on Poppy's lap. I must have been 4 at the time. I loved it, and to this day I curiously love to watch anything and everything on National Geographic. All the grandchildren and great-grandchildren have the same stories of sipping ginger ale from Twizzler straws and watching TV with Poppy. From Westerns to watching Fox News, we shared the same interest. When I was 10, Poppy shared with me another one of his passions, golfing. My friends played basketball, hockey, and football. I golfed. Golfing meant so much more than the sport. It was a way for me to connect to Poppy. Another great love of Poppy's was fishing. Every Zimmerman has a fishing story and 20 pictures to relive the memories. In Florida, I would fish from lunchtime till the sunset below the trees. We would wake up early in the morning, pack our favorite lunch, Nani's tuna fish sandwiches, hook up the boat, and head to the Everglades for a few hours of mostly silent bonding time. We were one with nature and loved every moment of it. Poppy shared his love of fishing with all of his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, well, mostly the boys. Many of my happiest memories growing up are fishing with Poppy. All of his grandkids have these memories. Poppy built relationships with all of us by sharing his greatest passions in life. He made those mundane activities holy in a way. To his grandchildren, fishing and golfing. Fishing is more than fishing, and golfing is more than golfing. It's memories with Poppy. Over the past few years, my family has also been blessed to have Nani and Poppy over every Friday night, most Friday nights for dinners. Friday nights have always been special to me, but Poppy elevated it to another level. He loved coming over, even when dinner was past his bedtime. It's an understatement to say he loved the Shabbos food, but what really made him happy was seeing us every week and saying, "Hey pal, how's it going?" But probably the greatest lesson Poppy has taught all of his grandchildren and great-grandchildren is how to build a loving family. His relationship with Nani and all of his children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren is something you only see in old-time Mayberry-type movies. We all have so much to learn from him. We love you, Poppy.
The honest truth is, I always thought that Pal was my pet name. A little bit upset now. My brothers and I all remember my Uncle Laurie as someone with the biggest heart. He loved us tremendously as if we were his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren, and he was so generous with his time, more so than anything else. I think my brother Rafi could tell you many stories of how he tried to trick my uncle into giving him as much money as possible. None of them worked, because Uncle Laurie was a little bit too smart, but he always tried. He always tried. Whenever you saw Uncle Laurie, he would ask you the exact same question. And the question was, "Tzvi, how are you? How's your beautiful wife? How's your great children?" This wasn't lip service, and you felt it. It meant that he really cared about you, and you knew it. You knew that he cared about you. You knew that he wanted the best for you. I'm a great nephew. I'm far away. How often did he see me? But nonetheless, every time you saw him, you knew he wanted to see you, and he wanted to see you more often. That meant everything to you. One need only glance at the book of Genesis and see a basic theme that goes throughout. There are brothers, and they don't always get along. Sometimes there was a reason for the issues that followed, like Jacob and Esau, or Isaac and Ishmael. Sometimes there was no real reason, like Cain and Abel, or like Joseph and his brothers. Far be it from me to think that I could understand the myriad of emotions and personal dealings that these great men dealt with, as if I could be a fair judge of what they all went through, especially with such leaders who literally shaped the world into what it is today. Nevertheless, the theme is clear, and the theme is, it's not always easy dealing with family. Expectations are high, emotions are strong, and it's a very difficult task to separate from one another. This is why when you see a family that is at peace with one another, where everyone gets along and genuinely likes each other, embracing their differences and understanding the other's idiosyncrasies, you have to smile in amazement and wonder what patriarch and matriarch could have been so amazing to pass down this all-important lesson to their children so that they could be so successful. This is something that even our greatest patriarchs and matriarchs of our nation did not get to see during their lifetime. It shows the absolute greatness of a person. And to me, the greatness of my Uncle Laurie and to my Aunt Fern. What a family. There could be no greater merit in heaven than to look down and see such successful and happy children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. May this lesson be internalized by us all, and thus may his memory be a blessing. If everyone will rise, please, for the Kel Malay.